Josh here. I know a lot of videos lately, but we've got a little life in the sorcery market that we need to talk about. Some more cards moving up in price, some people buying in, and fortunately, almost all of it is foils. Specifically Arthurian Legends foils. So people are buying them up, raising those prices. But like I always say, if people are buying foils, that's a good sign, because that means that collectors are looking for certain cards. You can say, well, but they could be speculators. And you're right, they could be. They could be speculators. But if they're buying those cards, that means that they have an expectation that people want those cards and that they can make money off of them. That's good for sorcery, because that means that there are people out there who are buying product in the hope that it goes up in price, and it's not impacting players who are mostly focused on non-foils. So this is good news, I think, especially right now since we're waiting for information from Gothic. It's good to see that people are still trying to pick up these foils, whether it's because they're trying to complete their own sets or if it's because they're hoping for future prices where they can make a little bit of money. Whatever it is, I'm fine with it. I do think once Gothic comes out, we may see some of these older set prices increase a little bit for key cards. Now, there's a lot of risk here with doing this. So the folks that are making the choices to buy out these foil cards, I think you're really taking a big risk, because we've got, hopefully, 450 plus cards coming out in the very near future. And so these cards that people are buying right now, especially on the foil side, it's a big question if those cards are going to remain staple cards for play. So I don't know. It's a little close to the set for me, in my opinion, for people to be going out and doing this. But hey, I think there are certain sure bets. I think that the tri-element sites are pretty sure bets in terms of anything that can be sure. A lot of folks think the ring is. With the invention of swap, other cards that seem to be targeting artifacts that we've seen previewed, I don't know. I could see ring maybe taking a dive because using it becomes a bit more of a liability. You know, the thing about ring is it's not one of those cards like a Grim where you just need it to hit once. You want to be using the ring consistently. So if there's a lot of way for people to get your ring away from you and use it against you, I kind of think, well, maybe people are going to start cutting it, because the ring needs to be out there for you to get a lot of value out of it. And the longer it's out there, the higher the risk that it might be pilfered from you and then used against you. But those are just my thoughts on people doing these buyouts. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual cards, what has been hit. So again, mostly foils. There are a few non-foils. We all know I'm not a fan of when non-foils get hit with a buyout type situation. It'd be one thing if, there's just consistent purchasing. Like Glastonbury Tour has had consistent purchases of the non-foil card, and that non-foil card has steadily moved up to $45 because people just want that card. That's good. That's healthy. That's a healthy market. Demand slowly increasing price. Perfectly fine. It's when people come in there and they're like, I'm going to buy 36 copies of X card. That's non-foil. Now, come on. Don't be doing that. But on to the cards. So, first card, Questing Beast, went from $50 to $90 in foil. Of all the buyout cards, this one feels like one of the more risky ones. Are we thinking there aren't going to be good water minions in Gothic? I mean, I guess there is an argument that, well, a lot of the good minions are going to be unique or elite, so there's still going to be a space for the Questing Beasts in our new 60 card spell books. I guess I can see that argument, but I don't know. I mean, Questing Beast is a good card, but is it something that couldn't be eliminated because of power creep? Feels like a situation to me with, like, I'm going to reference something really old. I remember when Mastercore was, like, amazing in Magic. Masticore, I think, is a terrible card now. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's a terrible card. So, yeah, that's just, when I look at Questing Beast, I see a card like Masticore. It's like, it's good in its time. But once, of course, I don't know how fast Masticore fell off. So maybe that's a thing. I don't remember. But, maybe Questing Beast won't fall off that fast. And it'll have a place. But again, seeing that buyout, I'm like, that feels a little risky to me. But moving on to the next card. Again, one of the cards I feel is very, very risky. The Lady Isolet. I can never say the name. Lady Isolet went from 50 to 75. Not a huge jump, but a number were bought to bring it up to that price. Again, the issue with this particular card, as cool as the ability is, it's a 1-power minion. And it's so easy to get rid of a 1-power minion. I suppose if you keep her on your back line, you can give her some protection like that. But you all know, recently I, used Wind Sylphs trying to make a deck with them. Now, they do have to go over there and get in your opponent's zone. So maybe that's a big difference. But still, the reason I had to scrap it was because that 1-power just, yeah. So now we're talking about a unique with 1 power, very cool ability. I don't know, protecting it just seems really hard. So that one seems a little odd to me, a little risky, but Foil Lady up to $75. Next, 2 cards that are basically polar opposites of each other, but I've talked about these cards a couple of times before. Black Plague and Great Famine. So these 2 cards, very good cards. They just haven't seen a lot of use. It's like one of those things that just really hasn't broken through to players yet. But they're very good cards. They're very useful. The top level players use them, of course. But I still feel like the more casual community just hasn't seen, oh man, you should definitely include, the Black Plague or Great Famine in your decks. That's just me. But those cards, both, again, the foils, bought out. Black Plague went from 40 all the way to $100. And then Great Famine went from 40 to 80. So pretty big jumps for both those cards. Again, with all these types of buyouts, generally speaking, things will drift back down. Just remember that, everyone. So if you were collecting a foil set because you're a collector, don't go buy them now, because they're probably going to come back down. Especially, we get to Gothic. Again, I think there are going to be some cards in the older sets that may see some spikes in Gothic, but I think a lot of cards are going to see devaluation. Just because the newer cards, there will be newer staples that will take the place of some of those cards in our 60-card spellbooks that we're going to get at Gothic. But the Black Plague and Great Famine, those 2 cards have moved up. Very good. I've really started to use them regularly in the decks that I play where I'm using those elements. I've always found them useful. So there's that. The last unique foil that was hit. This one's a real shocker. Rita of Snowdonia. $27 is a unique foil, and it has been there forever. Has moved up to $70. Just know. And just before I was getting ready to film this video, someone had posted another one for $27. So, I don't know if that person wasn't aware there was a buyout or thought, I can finally get rid of this card and get my $27, whatever it was. But Rita has been bought up to $70. Don't pay that for her or him. I think it's actually a him. And for whatever reason, when I look at that name, I want to make it a female. I don't know why it is. So maybe it's an it is better because it's a giant it. We don't know. It's an it. That's terrible. So Rita, up to $70 in foil right now. I wouldn't pay that price. Just let it drift back down. Don't do it. Finally, there is a foil ordinary that was completely bought out, but I don't know that it was a buyout in the sense that someone was like, I'm going to try to raise the price. I think it was more of like someone was like, I need a couple of play sets of this card because there were literally only 8 available, and the person bought all 8. Kettletop Leprechaun. Kettletop Leprechaun is it the best ordinary in Arthurian Legends? Yeah, it just may be the best ordinary in Arthurian Legends. Yeah. So, Kettletop Leprechaun. All the foils are off TCG Player at the moment. Again, these prices, just so everyone knows, I'm looking at TCG Player. The market moves on TCG Player. Obviously, if you go to other places like the Discord Marketplace, the Facebook Marketplace, a lot of times you can find cards cheaper than what they are on TCG Player. But that's where I look just to kind of see what's happening. I do watch the markets too, the Discord markets. And consistently, if you're looking for something, you can probably get them cheaper there. But I think it's just overall a good sign to watch that TCG Player market, because it still shows that there's, interest in the game, because I think a lot of people don't know about the Discord Marketplace or the Facebook Marketplace. And so they rely on TCG Player to maybe get these cards. But Kettletop, in foil, right now there's none on TCG Player at the moment. Who knows what it's going to come back at? Because it's an ordinary, and because of how, that card is definitely a staple at the moment. Could it be replaced in Gothic? Definitely. There's definitely a possibility, but that is a good ability. A 2 for 2 that's going to get you a sight draw when it dies. So it actually, your opponent is helping you by killing it. That's great value. So, it's going to be tough to replace that one in Gothic. Not saying it's not possible. It depends on the level of power creep. But that one, yeah. So I could see it coming back. They were $8. I could see it coming back in the 12 to 15 range, and that kind of becoming its place. 10, definitely. 10 feels like a good, solid number for a, but definitely up to 15, I could see that. I could definitely see that. It's not going to do what Blink is. Blink is $40 in foil, but Blink is just, an amazing card. So, and air is a very popular element, so sees a lot of play. A lot of decks use air, and if you're using air, you're probably using Blink. So people who like to foil out their decks, that's why Blink is so expensive. But Kettletop, I definitely think when it comes back, I'm not, it'll probably come back. Someone will post it, I don't know, 20, 25, and then it'll drift down. And I'm thinking that 10 to 15 range. It could maybe hold 20. But again, I think it all comes down to, what happens with Gothic, potential replacements for it. All that type of thing is going to play into it. Now, let's move on to 2 non-foil cards that got hit. And you all know I don't like non-foil cards getting hit. I like that gradual increase as demand requires it. But 2 non-foil cards did get hit. One of those, Fields of Camlin, got hit again. So someone really wants to make this card into something. It's back up to $30. It had been bought up to, I think, 30 the last time, drifted back down to 20. Now we've had another bunch of purchases pushing it up to 30. They don't appear like they were a natural buy to me, like we've seen with some of the other things. So this looks like a buyout to push the card up to 30. It's a good card. It is. But again, we got the same thing. We got a brand new set coming with tons of new cards. Who knows how powerful Fire is going to be after that. We don't know. 450 plus new cards potentially in Gothic. We don't know. We don't know how powerful that card is going to be. So I like that $20 price tag. I could even see it at a $15 price tag. It's a good card. It is. But I just don't know. So, I wouldn't be paying 30 for that if I were anyone out there. If you're in the non-foil market, if you're a player in the non-foil market, you're like, man, I was meaning to buy Fields. It's up to 30. I'd wait a few more weeks and let's get that thing to drift back down. Finally, Questing Beast in non-foil was also hit. So this was a $10 card. I think $10 for Questing Beast in non-foil, that was a solid price. Given that is a staple in most water decks, that felt pretty good to me. We're up to 25 now. Again, this is the same argument for the foil. A lot of cards coming in Gothic. Questing Beast, there's no way it holds 25. There is just no way that I can see it at all. I'm sure Water's going to get a ton of new amazing minions. Maybe we're going to get a lot of really cool monsters. I'm hoping that water gets a lot of the Cthulhu-esque stuff. So, I just don't see Questing Beast, especially non-foil. $10 felt like a good solid price for that card. It's a good card. $10, that felt right. So if you're in the market for a non-foil Questing Beast, again, hold off. I'm sure it's going to drift back down. I think once Gothic hit, it's probably going to be one of the cards that really drifts back down. The cards in Gothic, the cards in Arthurian Legends, the cards in Beta that defy the trend, because I do think a lot of the cards that are currently staples could potentially see significant price decreases because we get all this good new stuff in Gothic that kind of takes their place. That's maybe just a touch better. Hopefully the power creep isn't too great. It's just enough to be like, yeah, I'm going to stop taking, this staple card. Maybe something like Poweries. Poweries has to attack every turn, has haste. It's 3 power. Maybe there's another red minion that's just, a touch better in some way. And so that swaps out a card like Poweries. And that's kind of my thing right now is, anyone who's thinking about, I'm going to go buy out this foil, or I'm going to go buy out especially a non-foil card, you're taking a lot of risk, because we're going to see a huge shift as soon as we get Gothic. A lot of the cards that right now we're like, these are cards, you need them, they're going to change. And some of the cards I could definitely see really getting hit hard. I think Ring, if there's as much artifact hate as I think there's going to be, especially the type of artifact hate that lets you take your opponent's artifacts and use them against them, I really think Ring could be in trouble. That's just me. Happy to be wrong. Actually, I'm not happy to be wrong in that case. I want to be right. But, if you're out there and you're a player and you see a non-foil buyout, just hold off. Let's get to Gothic, borrow the card from a friend in the community or something if you need it for an event. Hold off, let things drift back down. For the foils, the one argument I can see for buying out foils that individuals think, will be worth more later on and will continue to be staples. People are not going to be opening that product as much. We've already seen this problem with Arthurian Legends. Opening Arthurian Legends is, it's like an ice pick through the eye. Sometimes. Not all the time. There can be great boxes of Arthurian Legends. But man, okay, that example was extreme. Yes, it was extreme. I know. Ice pick through the eye. That's over the top. Yes, it is over the top. It's not that bad. But opening Arthurian Legends can be tough, and it can definitely hit you in the feels. So, if Gothic is a fun product to open, not a whole lot of people are going to be opening up Arthurian Legends. So if you're looking at the foil set, you may have waited too late by the time we get to Gothic. So we will see. And, we're already seeing a recovery of the prices of Arthurian boxes. We're up to $100 on TCG Player, cases at $600. So, I like that price for that product. I think, I've talked a lot about MSRP for Arthurian Legends, the pricing, all that. We went through that. But $100, there we go. So let's all just hope Gothic comes out and we're looking at $150 retail. That's what I'm hoping. A lot of people are thinking it's going to be a bit higher than that, like $160, $175. I really don't want to see that. Even if we're back to 36-pack boxes. I pray to the heavens we're back to 36-pack boxes. 36-pack boxes, $150. And I know TCGs are wild right now, so maybe we should expect a higher price. But the thing we have to remember with Sorcery is that Gothic is going to be on the shelf for a very long time. So, when it comes out, if the price skyrockets to $300 a box, I wouldn't be buying it. Do not give in to that FOMO, because they got to keep that product out for a year. We've got to have it. Even if they keep the supply tighter somehow than they did with Arthurian Legends, so it doesn't crash, the retail price, or slightly less than retail price, is where I expect it to stay. Maybe it'll be a little bit above. We got a whole year to buy this product, probably longer. But I guess we'll see, once Gothic comes out, what is the shelf life of Beta and Arthurian Legends once Gothic is out? Do we finally see that retirement of Beta and it's gone after 2 years of availability? Let's hope so. But we'll see. Time will tell. That's it for this market video. I hope you guys find this information useful. If this isn't your cup of tea, that's fine. I got my whole other Judge series, my rules series. We're making videos, talking about things. It's going to be a good time. I hope you're all out there playing Sorcery. I hope you're doing your cornerstones. My cornerstone is coming up November the 2nd. Very excited for that. I hope you're all going to an SCG con near you if you can. I am going to be at Baltimore. Looking forward to that as well. Got another potential surprise. Trying to finalize that. I'll talk about it as soon as it happens, if it happens. I think it's going to happen. Like 95% chance it's going to happen. So we'll see. That's it. As always, keep on contesting the realm!